Hey everyone, this is Dylan, and today we're going to be doing my top 12 most anticipated films of 2025. When I got that list of things that I was excited for, it ended up being 12 movies long. And so I was like, you know what? Why do I have to make it a 10 movie list? Let me just do 12. Starting at number 12, we have The Bride. This is a remake of The Bride of Frankenstein, and it is being directed, written, and produced by Maggie Gyllenhaal. And we've got Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale, as well as Jake Gyllenhaal, all starring in this film. We don't know who Jake is playing, but we know that Jessie Buckley is playing the Bride of Frankenstein, and Christian Bale is playing Frankenstein. They have released a couple images from this, and I think that it looks interesting. I mean, specifically with like Christian Bale, looks a little interesting as Frankenstein. So I am really curious to see how this movie is going to be. And this, as of right now, has a release date of September 26th, 2025. Coming in at number 11, we have Clown in a Cornfield. Now, this is based off of a YA book that was written by Adam Cesar. And this is a slasher movie and book of a girl who moves to a new town, and a killer clown starts knocking people off. And I remember reading the book and really liking it. And I'm really interested to see how they adapt it into a film. If I'm not mistaken, I think that Adam Cesar was the one who wrote the screenplay. And it's being directed by Eli Craig, who was the director of Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. And I really liked that movie, so I have some pretty high hopes for this film as well. And it's going through the producers of the Smile franchise. So I didn't really care too much. I thought it was just all right, the first Smile, but I really liked Smile 2. So I'm thinking that so far they have a 50-50 track record with me. So I'm definitely curious to see how that is. And it is a book that I really like, so I am definitely looking forward to it. And as of right now, it is not dated. So we'll see in the future if that gets a date for 2025. So now if you are really wanting a top 10 list, this is where it begins. So we have coming at number 10, The Black Phone 2. The Black Phone was a phone. The Black Phone was a movie that I really liked. I thought it was really dark, and some of the performances were really good. And so when I heard that they were doing a Black Phone 2, I was like, okay, I'm interested. And it is being directed by Scott Derrickson, who did the first Black Phone, and it's also being produced by Jason Blum, of course. And pretty much all of the main characters from the first film are coming back. I specifically remember really liking the performance that the little sister gave. So I'm really excited to see her back, as well as Ethan Hawke and the Grabber, the new character that Ethan Hawke played in the Black Phone, the first one. And that has a release date so far of October 17th, 2025. So coming in at number 9, we have the movie Heart Eyes. Now, this could go either way. I could see it being really bad, but I was pleasantly surprised when I watched the trailer for it. And I'm always down for some new holiday horror. And so this seems like it could be a new Valentine's Day type horror film. And that's pretty exciting. I think the last one that we got specific to Valentine's Day was My Bloody Valentine 3D, which was a remake of a previous film. I'm excited to see this new IP emerge for Valentine's Day. And so this is being directed by Josh Rubin, who was the director and I think writer for both Scare Me, which was a Shudder original movie, and Werewolf Within. I was a little lukewarm on Scare Me. I thought that it was just a little overall boring. I think it was on my worst list of the year that it came out, but I did like Werewolf Within, so I am really interested to see how Heart Eyes is. So it actually has a pretty decent cast, with Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding, I think, being the main two, which I am a big fan of Mason Gooding after watching him in things like Scream and Love, Victor, as well as adult characters of Michaela Watkins, which I don't know what other people know her from, but I know her from this random one television show series that came out years ago called Trophy Wife that had Malin Ackerman in it. And I just loved her in that show. So I'm excited to see her in something else that falls more in line with my interests. And then we also have a horror icon at this point, Devon Sawa, who is going to be in this film. So I'm really interested to see how they fit in. I'm sure that they're probably going to be the parents of some of these characters. I don't know if Mason Gooding is going to be playing a teenager. I feel like he is a little getting a little older than teenager roles, so this might be a college level age group for this horror film. So I'm really excited to see that. And it currently has a release date of February 7th, 2025. So coming in at number 8, we have Wolfman. And I think this is the thing that is on my list that is coming out the soonest. And I'm really excited about this. This is the follow-up from The Invisible Man from Leigh Whannell, writer and director. And this is his take on the Wolfman of that classic Universal Monsters. I really liked The Invisible Man. I believe that was the top movie of the year that it came out. I think it was 2020. I was really happy with how that turned out, and I thought that it was really inventive and unique the way that they brought the Invisible Man into modern day, and really enjoyed it. So I'm really excited to see what he does with the Wolfman. And I just think in general that we don't have enough werewolf movies, at least werewolf movies that have come out recently. So I'm excited to also see that as well. So this is starring Christopher Abbott and Julia Gardner. And I believe that Christopher Abbott's character gets bit or scratched by a werewolf when he goes back to the inherited childhood home that he got after his father's disappearance. So he is going to be our titular Wolfman. And when I was doing a little bit of research for this video, I did see something that said that Leigh Whannell took inspiration for the Wolfman and the werewolf transformation from Heath Ledger's transformation in The Joker, which I thought was pretty interesting, but like a lot of people really liked the Heath Ledger's performance in The Joker, and I do too. So I think that that could be actually kind of interesting. But then we also have this kind of ripple that might not be anticipated very well. There was like this leak of what the Wolfman design was for the werewolf in this movie by Universal themselves at like this Halloween Horror Nights thing, I think, and people did not like it. So I'm curious to see if this design is actually that bad, or if it is a little blown out of proportion, or is quite different than what is actually in the film. And I don't know, hopefully it's pretty good, because that is going to be a make or break for this movie. If you don't like the werewolf design, then you're probably not going to like the movie. So really excited to see how that turns out. And this movie is being released January 17th, 2025. Coming in at number 7, we have Saw 11. And I am always excited for a Saw film. I think that they're so interesting and so unique, and some of them are actually, they kind of have a societal message that is, I think, really interesting, especially with the events of what happened the end of last year, with everything that had to do with healthcare and people just kind of turning on it. I think that this could potentially be like a pretty successful film. since the main crux of the Saw franchise and with John Kramer was that he was dying of a brain tumor and he was having issues with the healthcare system, and several of the films were related to people that worked in the healthcare industry, and I think that that's almost something that's more needed than ever right now, and that it could really resonate with a lot of people. And so one of the writers on this film, who has written previously like 4 or 5 of the Saw movies in the franchise, had says that this has something fresh to say. This new movie has something fresh to say, and that it is, quote, angry. So I'm really curious to see what that means, and if they took any inspiration, which they probably already had it written before what happened at the end of last year, but I am interested to see how that all plays out. We also have the director from Saw 10 coming back to direct this film, and I thought that the Saw 10 was really interesting. We don't have any word on who is coming back or if anybody will be back for this new Saw film. Tobin Bell is getting up there in age. He's 81 years old and probably not up for too many more Saw films. So I'm curious to see how this will go after this Saw 11 comes out. Maybe we'll start following Amanda, or we'll go back to, I forget what the detective's name is, but that detective. So curious to see, but I am looking forward to this. And as of right now, it is dated to come out September 26th, 2025. Coming in at number 6, we have Frankenstein. So this is the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein adaptation, which is really interesting that we're getting a remake of Frankenstein and we're getting a remake of Bride of Frankenstein all in the same year, and they are unrelated to each other. And so that's really interesting. I'm curious to see how this Frankenstein works out. I've really liked the things that Guillermo del Toro has been doing the past few years. I really liked his Pinocchio remake or retelling, and I don't think I watched all of the Cabinet of Curiosity. I probably need to go back and rewatch those, but the ones that I did watch, I did enjoy quite a bit. So I'm really curious to see how that is. And I think the thing that makes this movie kind of stand out is the cast. So we have Oscar Isaac, who is playing Dr. Frankenstein. And then we have Jacob Elordi, who is really hot right now, and he is playing Frankenstein's monster. And so I think that's going to get a lot of eyes on this film. And we don't have a release date yet. It's coming out on Netflix sometime this year, unless things change, which potentially they could. So now we're getting into my top 5 most anticipated films of 2025. And coming at number 5, we have The Monkey. Now, this is one that a lot of people are pretty hyped about. I have purposefully not really looked too much into this. I only know some like really broad details about this film, and it is being directed by Osgood Perkins, and it is based off of a short story called The Monkey from Stephen King. And I'm a big Stephen King fan, mostly his adaptations. I've read a few of his books. They're long, which is not bad, but I have a short attention span, so I can't really read some long things like that. So I actually might check out The Monkey before it comes out, because it is a short story, so hopefully I can get it done in a day or a couple hours or something like that. But I think that the interesting thing about this film is also coming from its cast. I know a lot of people really like Osgood Perkins after Longlegs. I unfortunately haven't got around to watching Longlegs yet, but I did like his Gretel and Hansel film that came out. I was a little mixed on his Blackcoat's Daughter, so I'm curious to see how this one plays out. But the thing that's making me most excited about this is the cast related to this film. So we've got Theo James, who is playing twins, which I think is pretty interesting. We also have Tatiana Maslany, who is playing Theo James's mother. I assume that the mother dies when he is a child, because there is a child actor playing the twins. So it's like a double timeline story. So really interested to see how that plays out. I love Tatiana Maslany, particularly her work in Orphan Black, and I also didn't mind her in She-Hulk. And then we also have Elijah Wood, who is also in this movie, so I'm really interested to see that. And this is also coming out from Neon, which I don't know if they've put anything else out recently, but I think that their work on Immaculate, which, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched my top videos of 2024, made it. So that was one of my favorite films. So I'm really interested to see how they do on this. And this is scheduled to come out on February 21st, 2025. Coming in at number 4, we have Final Destination Bloodlines. So I really like the Final Destination series. I think that it has scarred an entire group of people that grew up with those films, particularly the driving behind like a logging truck, which I can't say that I do very often, but if I'm ever behind one or I'm behind something that's got poles or something, I always kind of get over into the next lane because I don't want to have any potential issues. So I think that is really interesting that it is coming back. And this is Tony Todd's last film being released posthumously, which unfortunately he is no longer with us. So that's pretty sad, but it does seem like this is going to be a pretty good movie for him. From what I was reading, it sounds like we're going to be getting a little bit more of a backstory with his role in this film. So I'm really excited to see that. And one of the other interesting pieces of casting in this film, because I think that we're going to have like a mixed age group here. So one of the younger actors in this film is Teo Briones, which I might be saying that wrong, but he was in the first season of Chucky. And so I really liked him in there. And so I'm really excited to see him in something new. And as of right now, this has a release date of May 16th, 2025. Then coming in at number 3, we have Talk to Me. Talk to Me. So I am pretty excited about this. This was definitely a pretty pleasant surprise the year that it came out. I was lucky enough to have went to an advanced screening of Talk to Me before it came out in theaters as part of the AAA 24 membership. So really excited about that. It was a really great movie. So I'm really excited what they do for a follow-up. And it is bringing back the two YouTuber brothers who did the first film. They're both directing and writing this film as well. So pretty excited to see what they have dreamed up to go on in this Talk to Me world. And we currently do not have a release date for that yet. Then coming in at number 2, we have the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot. Now, I thought it was called I Know What You Did Last Summer, but as far as I know, when I was looking up this, it is an unentitled I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot. So apparently it doesn't have a title yet. They'll probably pull something like the Scream 2022 thing, and they'll just call it I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025. But this is supposed to be a direct sequel to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And it is bringing back Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. Are reprising their roles. So that's really exciting. And we also have one other like really interesting character that is in this film. Nicholas Alexander Chavez is going to be or has been cast in this film. So I'm really excited to see him again. I really enjoyed his role in Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. He's really hot off of that. And I also read something that said that social media is going to be a big influence and factor into this film. And so I think that'll be an interesting way to take the franchise. They did do the I Know What You Did Last Summer television series on Amazon Prime a couple years ago. I really liked that. I did a review of that, so I'll definitely put an iCard up there if you're interested in watching that one. But I really liked that. So, and they didn't really do too much with social media in that film or in that show. So I think social media could be a really interesting thing to do when it comes to this movie, kind of a la Thanksgiving, when they kind of did the social media thing where the whatever the killer's name was, I forget, who was like posting on Instagram and things like that. I think that could be an interesting way to take this film. And this has a release date set for July 18th, 2025. And then coming in at number 1, have you guessed what my most anticipated movie of 2025 is yet? I do have a couple of videos on this channel about it, but coming in at number 1, we have Until Dawn. I am really excited for this film. I love Until Dawn. I wasn't introduced to Until Dawn until I was in college. I actually was living in my fraternity house, and my roommate was one of my really good friends, and he was like, "Hey, there's this game that I think you would really like." And I was like, "Okay." And so he had a PlayStation 4 at the time, and he was like, "All right, we got to play this." So one weekend we just sat down and he watched me as I played this game, and I fell in love. I was like, this is spectacular. And so when I heard that they were going to be doing a film version, I was really excited, but I was also like, I don't know how they're going to do that. And so it seems like they're setting it in the world of Until Dawn, but it's not going to be like a direct film story of the video game, which I think is a smart idea because the game already plays as like an extended film. And so I'm really excited to see what they end up doing with this. And this is being directed by David F. Sandberg and written by Gary Doberman. So they kind of have a bit of an interesting track record, but I think that they're more decent than not. And so I'm really excited to see how this is. I hope that they kind of get some Larry Fessenden inspiration or get some help, or he's like a consultant on this, because he, I think, was a big part of developing the Until Dawn world. He plays a role in Until Dawn, and then it's also based off of Wendigos, which has a whole movie called Wendigo. So I know he's credited in the Until Dawn credits for it, so I'm really interested to see if he'll have any sort of a role in either the making of the film or if he will be in the film himself. But when we get to our cast, I'm really excited because we have Michael Cimino, who I'm a big fan of, as well as Maya Mitchell, who she has been in a couple of Disney Channel original movies, like the Teen Beach movies. She was the female lead in those. She was also on The Fosters for a little bit, and then I think she was also in a show called Good Trouble, which was like a spinoff of The Fosters. So really excited to see her back. I only watched like the first season of The Fosters, but I liked that, so I think that's a good duo for this film, along with the other stars, who I believe, I didn't write her name down, but she was the lead in the remake of Hellraiser, or the reboot of Hellraiser. She's also going to be in this, so I'm really interested to see how that all plays out and how the story goes. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below what your most anticipated films of 2025 are, if we have any matching ones, or if there's some other ones that maybe I did not put on my list. This is an exhaustive list. I am excited for a lot of different movies, but these are the things that I am the most excited for. And remember, if you're not already subscribed and you'd like to be, please hit that subscribe button down below and give this video a like if you liked it. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day. Bye.